HOA president blocked the ambulance at our gate, demanding permits while my wife screamed in labor inside. Our baby was dying with every passing second. She refused to move, citing community rules. By the time we crashed through, it was too late. Now she will pay for what she did. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. I never thought I would experience the worst moment of my life at the gate of my own neighborhood. My name is Michael Torres, and I am a firefighter. I have seen emergencies. I have saved lives. But nothing prepared me for what happened that morning when my wife needed help the most. It was 6 in the morning when Sarah woke me up. Her face was pale and covered in sweat. "Mike, something is wrong," she said. Her voice was shaking. "The baby. I think the baby is coming, but it does not feel right." Sarah was 8 months pregnant with our first child. We had everything ready. The hospital bag was packed. We had practiced the route to the hospital many times. But when I looked at her, I knew this was not normal labor. "What do you feel?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Pain. Really bad pain. And I am bleeding." My heart dropped. I am a firefighter, not a doctor, but I know that bleeding during pregnancy is dangerous. Very dangerous. "We need to call an ambulance right now," I said. I grabbed my phone and called 911. The operator answered quickly. 911, what is your emergency?" "My wife is 8 months pregnant. She is in severe pain and bleeding heavily. We need an ambulance immediately." "Stay calm, sir. Help is on the way. Keep her comfortable and do not move her too much." The ambulance arrived in 10 minutes. 2 paramedics rushed into our house with their equipment. They checked Sarah quickly. "Her blood pressure is dropping," one paramedic said to the other. "We need to move fast. This looks like placental abruption." I knew what that meant. The placenta was separating from the uterus too early. It was life-threatening for both Sarah and the baby. They put Sarah on a stretcher and loaded her into the ambulance. I ran to my car to follow them. Our neighborhood, Riverside Estates, is a gated community. There is only one way in and one way out. The gate is always controlled by the HOA. As the ambulance drove toward the gate with lights flashing and sirens blaring, I followed close behind. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I was praying that everything would be okay. But then the ambulance stopped suddenly. I could not understand why. The gate was right there. We just needed to get through and drive to the hospital. It was only 15 minutes away. I jumped out of my car and ran toward the ambulance. That is when I saw her. Margaret Chen, the president of our HOA, was standing in the middle of the gate with her arms crossed. Her silver BMW was parked directly across the entrance, blocking the entire path. "What are you doing?" I shouted. "Move your car. This is an emergency." Margaret looked at me with a cold expression. She was a woman in her 50s, always dressed perfectly, always acting like she owned the neighborhood. "Mr. Torres, you know the rules," she said calmly. "All emergency vehicles must have prior authorization to enter Riverside Estates. I need to see your emergency vehicle permit." I could not believe what I was hearing. "My wife is dying." I screamed. "The baby is dying. There is no time for permits." One of the paramedics jumped out of the ambulance. "Ma'am, we have a critical patient inside," he said urgently. "She is hemorrhaging. The baby is in distress. Every second counts. Please move your vehicle." Margaret did not move. She stood there like a statue. "Rules are rules," she said. "The HOA board created these procedures for a reason. Security is important. I cannot just let anyone drive through our gate without proper authorization. We are not anyone." I yelled. "We are an ambulance. This is a medical emergency. Then you should have called ahead and gotten the proper paperwork, Margaret said. She actually pulled out her phone. I am going to call the police to report an unauthorized vehicle trying to breach our security. I felt like I was losing my mind. This could not be real. This could not be happening. From inside the ambulance, I could hear Sarah screaming in pain. The sound cut through my heart like a knife. Please, I begged Margaret. Please just move your car. My wife is bleeding out. Our baby has no heartbeat. They are going to die. Margaret looked me straight in the eyes. Maybe this will teach you to follow the rules, Mr. Torres, she said. Last month you painted your front door blue without HOA approval. I sent you 3 violation notices. You ignored all of them. Actions have consequences. That is when I understood. This was not about rules. This was not about security. This was about revenge. Margaret was willing to let my wife and baby die because I had painted my door the wrong color. I will repaint the door. I shouted. I will pay any fine. Just move your car. The paramedic tried to drive around Margaret's BMW, but the gate was too narrow. The ambulance could not fit. Margaret had parked perfectly to block the entire entrance. Ma'am, I am begging you, the paramedic said. His voice was desperate now. This woman is going to die. The baby is already showing no vital signs. If we do not get to the hospital in the next 5 minutes, we will lose them both. Margaret checked her watch like she was bored. Then I suggest you get that authorization quickly, she said. From the ambulance, Sarah's screaming suddenly stopped. That was worse than the screaming. Much worse. Sarah. I ran back to the ambulance. The second paramedic was working frantically inside. She had an oxygen mask on Sarah's face. There was blood everywhere. She is losing consciousness, the paramedic said. Blood pressure is crashing. I cannot find the baby's heartbeat at all. We need to move right now. I looked back at Margaret. She was still standing there, unmoved, checking her phone like this was boring her. Something inside me snapped. I ran to my car, got behind the wheel, and made a decision. I pressed the gas pedal all the way down and drove straight at Margaret's BMW. What are you doing? Margaret screamed. She jumped out of the way as my car smashed into hers. Metal screeched. Glass shattered. My airbag exploded in my face. But I did not care. Margaret's car moved aside. The gate was clear. Go. 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 I shouted at the ambulance. The ambulance shot through the gate. I abandoned my destroyed car and jumped into the back of the ambulance as it raced toward the hospital. Sarah was unconscious. Her skin was gray. There was too much blood. Sarah, baby, stay with me, I begged. I held her hand. You and our daughter. Both of you stay with me. Please. But all I could see in my mind was Margaret Chen's cold face as she watched my wife die. We arrived at City General Hospital 8 minutes later. It should have been 3 minutes. Margaret had stolen 5 minutes from us. 5 minutes that could mean everything. The emergency room team was ready. They rushed Sarah into surgery immediately. The doors closed and I could not follow. I stood there alone in the hallway, covered in Sarah's blood, feeling completely helpless. Dr. Lisa Park, the head of obstetrics, came to me after 2 hours. Her face was serious. Mr. Torres, your wife is alive, she said. We had to give her multiple blood transfusions. We had to remove her uterus to stop the bleeding. But she survived. Relief flooded through me. But I saw the look in Dr. Park's eyes. I knew what was coming. The baby? I whispered. Dr. Park's eyes filled with tears. I am so sorry, Michael. Your daughter had no heartbeat when we delivered her. We tried everything. CPR, medications, warming. But she had been without oxygen for too long. She was gone before we could save her. The world stopped. My knees gave out. A nurse caught me before I hit the floor. No, I heard myself saying. No, no, no. Try again. Try something else. We tried for 30 minutes, Dr. Park said gently. I am so sorry. She is gone. My daughter. My baby girl. Gone. If you had arrived sooner, Dr. Park said quietly, if there had not been that delay at your gate, I believe we could have saved her. 5 minutes. Margaret Chen had stolen 5 minutes from my daughter's life. And those 5 minutes had killed her. Sarah woke up 6 hours later. She was weak and confused. Where is she? Sarah asked immediately. Where is our baby? I want to hold her. I had to tell my wife that our daughter was dead. I had to watch her face break. I had to hold her while she screamed with a pain so deep it did not sound human. No. No. Bring her to me. Sarah tried to get out of bed. She pulled out her four. She fought against me. My baby. I want my baby. Nurses rushed in. Dr. Park had to sedate Sarah. But even in her drugged sleep, tears ran down her face. Her hands rested on her empty stomach. I sat beside her bed, holding her hand, crying silently. Our daughter was dead because Margaret Chen cared more about HOA rules than human life. While Sarah slept, I made phone calls. First, I called the police. Detective James Wright arrived at the hospital within an hour. Mr. Torres, I heard what happened, he said. I am so sorry for your loss. Tell me everything. I told him the whole story. Margaret blocking the gate. Her refusal to move. Her demands for permits. Her revenge for the painted door. Do you have any proof? Detective Wright asked. The paramedics witnessed everything, I said. And there are security cameras at the gate. Margaret herself was recording on her phone. She wanted to document that she was enforcing the rules. That is actually good for us, Detective Wright said. I will get those recordings immediately. This is criminally negligent homicide, Mr. Torres. Margaret Chen is going to be arrested. Next, I called a lawyer. Robert Martinez was a friend from high school who had become a top attorney. Mike, I heard about Sarah and the baby, Robert said. I am coming to the hospital right now. We are going to make Margaret Chen pay for what she did. The news spread quickly. By the next morning, our story was everywhere. HOA president blocks ambulance, baby dies, was the headline on every news website. People were outraged. The story went viral. Thousands of people shared it on social media. Other families came forward with their own stories about Margaret Chen's cruelty. She fined us $500 because our Christmas lights were up 2 days past the deadline, one neighbor said. When my father had a heart attack, she tried to stop the ambulance to check if they had authorization. She blocked a moving truck for 3 hours because we did not have a moving permit, another neighbor testified. My elderly mother sat in the heat, exhausted, and Margaret did not care. Margaret Chen had been terrorizing Riverside Estates for years. Our daughter's death had finally brought it into the light. We buried our daughter 5 days later. We had named her Emma. A tiny white coffin that should never have existed. Sarah was still in a wheelchair, still weak from the surgery and blood loss, but she insisted on being there. The funeral was small. Just family and close friends. But the pain was enormous. I stood to speak because Sarah was too broken to do it. Emma never took a breath, I said. My voice was shaking. She never opened her eyes. She never felt her mother's love. She never knew her father's voice. Because 5 minutes of her life were stolen by someone who valued power over humanity. I looked at Emma's tiny coffin. Margaret Chin decided that HOA rules were worth more than my daughter's life. She blocked an ambulance. She refused to move even when told a baby was dying. She smiled while my wife bled. And Emma paid the price. My voice got stronger. But this is not the end. Emma's death will mean something. It will change laws. It will protect other families. I promise you that, sweetheart. Your life mattered. Margaret Chen was arrested 3 days after the funeral. I watched the news coverage. Margaret in handcuffs, being led out of her house. She was shouting about her rights, about HOA authority, about how she had done nothing wrong. I was just enforcing the rules, she screamed at the cameras. That man should have gotten proper authorization. This is not my fault. No remorse. No acknowledgement that a baby had died. Just anger that she was being held accountable. Her lawyer held a press conference. My client was simply doing her job as HOA president, he said. She had no way of knowing the severity of the emergency. She was following established procedures. She was told a baby was dying, a reporter shouted. My client disputes that characterization, the lawyer said smoothly. Sarah and I watched from our living room. Sarah had barely spoken since the funeral. Barely eaten. Just lay on the couch, empty and broken. He is trying to make her the victim, Sarah whispered. Our baby is dead and he is trying to make her the victim. I held her hand. He will not succeed, I said. I will not let him. Over the next 2 months, we built our case against Margaret Chen. Robert Martinez was brilliant. He gathered everything we needed. The 911 call recording, with Sarah's screams in the background. The paramedic testimony, detailing Emma's deteriorating condition minute by minute. The security footage from the gate, showing Margaret deliberately parking to block the ambulance. The dash camera from the ambulance, recording Margaret's refusal to move. But the most damning evidence came from Margaret's own phone. She had sent text messages to her sister that morning. Finally going to teach that firefighter a lesson. Nobody ignores my violation notices. She had planned it. She had brought her car to the gate deliberately. She had waited for an opportunity for revenge. This is premeditated, Robert explained. She knew what she was doing. She knew the risks. She chose revenge over a human life. That is depraved indifference. Medical experts testified about placental abruption. Time is absolutely critical, Dr. Park said in her deposition. Every minute without treatment exponentially increases the risk of death. A 5-minute delay in this case was catastrophic. The paramedics gave their statements. We told Mrs. Chen that the baby had no heartbeat, one said. We told her the mother was hemorrhaging. We begged her to move. She did not care. She wanted paperwork. The trial began 3 months after Emma's death. Sarah attended every day. She was stronger now, physically healed but emotionally scarred forever. The courtroom was packed. Media everywhere. Child safety advocates. Medical professionals. Families who had been victimized by HOA abuse. Margaret sat at the defense table looking confident. She thought her lawyer would save her. The prosecutor, Assistant District Attorney Karen Lee, delivered a powerful opening statement. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she began, Margaret Chen had a choice. When she saw an ambulance with lights and sirens, when she was told a pregnant woman was dying, when she was told a baby had no heartbeat, she had a choice. Move her car and save lives, or enforce HOA rules and let them die. Karen held up a photo of Emma. The only photo we had, taken after her death. This is Emma Torres. She never took a breath. She never had a chance. Because Margaret Chen chose rules over humanity. The next slide showed Margaret's car blocking the gate. For 5 minutes, Margaret Chen stood her ground. She demanded permits. She checked her phone. She ignored the screaming, the begging, the desperate pleas. And Emma Torres died. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. The 911 call played in court. Sarah's screams echoed through the room. The paramedic testimony. We told her it was life or death. She said she did not care. The security footage. Margaret parking deliberately. Seeing the ambulance. Refusing to move. The text messages. Teaching that firefighter a lesson. The medical testimony. 5 minutes was fatal. With immediate treatment, Emma Torres would have survived. Sarah testified. It was the hardest thing I have ever watched. I was dying, she said quietly. I could feel myself bleeding. I could feel my baby dying inside me. And through the ambulance window, I saw Margaret Chen on her phone. Not calling for help. Not moving. Just standing there. Sarah's voice broke. I prayed to God to save my baby. But we could not get to the hospital because Margaret Chen valued her power more than my daughter's life. She looked directly at Margaret. You killed Emma. You looked at a dying baby and chose rules. Chose revenge. Chose your ego. And my daughter paid with her life. Margaret showed no emotion. The jury looked disgusted. In my statement, I spoke directly to the jury. I am a firefighter. I save lives for a living. I have pulled people from burning buildings. I have performed CPR on strangers. But I could not save my own daughter because 5 minutes were stolen from her. I held up Emma's hospital bracelet. The one they never put on her because she died before they could. Margaret Chen had 5 minutes to show mercy. To show humanity. To value life over paperwork. She chose wrong. And Emma died. I looked at Margaret. No amount of HOA authority gives anyone the right to block emergency services. To let a baby die. To destroy a family. And you will pay for what you did to mine. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. Guilty. Criminally negligent homicide. Reckless endangerment. Obstruction of emergency services. Guilty on all counts. Margaret's face went white. For the first time, fear showed in her eyes. The sentencing hearing was 2 weeks later. Judge Robert Anderson was known for being tough on child death cases. He looked at Margaret with pure contempt. Mrs. Chen, you had multiple opportunities to save Emma Torres's life. You were told it was an emergency. You were told a baby was dying. You were begged. And you stood there unmoved, enforcing HOA rules while a child died. Margaret's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, my client has no prior criminal record. She is a respected community leader. She is a child killer. Judge Anderson cut him off. She deliberately blocked emergency services. She valued her authority over human life. Emma Torres is dead because of her choices. He turned to Margaret. You have shown no remorse. Even now, you maintain you did nothing wrong. That tells me everything about who you are. Judge Anderson's voice was ice cold. Margaret Chen, I hereby sentence you to 15 years in state prison for criminally negligent homicide. Additionally, 10 years for reckless endangerment and 5 years for obstruction of emergency services. These sentences will run consecutively. Total, 30 years. Margaret gasped. That is excessive. I was just enforcing rules. You were enforcing death, Judge Anderson said. You are dismissed. As they led Margaret away in handcuffs, she looked at me with pure hatred. This is your fault, she screamed. If you had just followed the rules. If you had just shown basic humanity, my daughter would be alive, I said quietly. 30 years is not enough. But it is justice. Today, Sarah and I visit Emma's grave every week. We bring flowers. We bring toys. We talk to her. The grief is still there. It will always be there. But something good came from our tragedy. Because of Emma, the state passed new laws. Emma's law made it a felony to block emergency vehicles under any circumstances. HOA authority can no longer supersede emergency access. Lives are being saved because of our daughter. Riverside Estates HOA was completely dissolved. New management took over, focused on community rather than control. Our daughter's death sparked a nationwide movement against HOA abuse. She changed the world, I said at her grave last week. Our little girl changed the world. Sarah squeezed my hand. In her other hand, she held something. A small photo. Mike, I need to tell you something, she said. We are adopting a baby girl. She is coming home next month. Tears filled my eyes. Really? Sarah nodded, crying and smiling at the same time. We will never forget Emma. We will never stop missing her. But life goes on. And this new baby girl deserves a loving home. I hugged Sarah tight. Emma would have been the best big sister, I said. She still will be, Sarah replied. We will tell this baby all about her. About how brave Emma was. About how she changed the world. Margaret Chen is in prison. Emma's law is saving lives. Our family is healing. And as we walked away from Emma's grave, I knew that her legacy, her impact, her meaning was our victory over the woman who tried to take everything from us. Emma Torres mattered. Her life, however brief, changed everything. And that is justice. If you are reading this story, I want you to know something important. HOA boards are not inherently evil. Most HOA members are good people trying to maintain their communities. But power without accountability is dangerous. Rules without compassion are tyranny. If you serve on an HOA board, remember this, you are dealing with people's homes. Their families. Their lives. Your rules should serve the community, not control it. Your authority should protect people, not punish them. And never, ever put rules above human life. Never. If you live in an HOA community and face abuse, fight back. Document everything. Know your rights. Contact organizations like Emma's Voice Foundation. You are not powerless. You are not alone. Change happens when people refuse to accept injustice. When they stand up and say, this is wrong, and I will not be silent. Sarah and I could have stayed quiet. We could have grieved privately and moved on with our lives. But we chose to fight. We chose to make Emma's death mean something. And because of that choice, hundreds of families still have their loved ones. Hundreds of lives were saved. That is Emma's gift to the world. That is her legacy. To Margaret Chen, wherever you are reading this from your prison cell, I hope you finally understand what you did. I hope you finally feel the weight of taking an innocent life. I hope you spend every remaining day of your sentence thinking about Emma and the future you stole from her. But mostly, I hope that no one ever becomes like you again. To my daughter Emma, Daddy loves you. Mommy loves you. Maya loves you. We all love you so much. You are forever in our hearts. Forever missed. Forever remembered. Thank you for giving our lives purpose. Thank you for saving so many others. Rest peacefully, my angel. And to everyone else, cherish your children. Hold them tight. Never take a single moment for granted. Because life can change in an instant. In 5 minutes. In one terrible decision made by someone who valued rules over humanity. Love each other. Fight for each other. Protect each other. That is what Emma taught us. That is how we honor her memory. Every single day. Life has a way of moving forward, even when you think it never will again. 3 years have passed since that terrible morning at the gate. 3 years since we lost Emma. 3 years since Margaret Chin destroyed our family. But we survived. Sarah and I survived together. Our adopted daughter, Maya, just turned 2 years old. She has Sarah's smile and the most beautiful laugh I have ever heard. When we brought her home from the adoption agency, Sarah cried for hours. Happy tears this time. Emma sent her to us, Sarah whispered that first night, holding Maya in her arms. I know she did. I believe that too. Maya will grow up knowing about her sister Emma. We have photos of Emma around the house. We visit her grave together as a family. Maya is too young to understand now, but one day we will tell her the whole story. We will tell her how her sister changed the world. The impact of Emma's law has been incredible. In the past 3 years, it has been used over 200 times across the state. 200 families who did not lose their loved ones because HOA boards can no longer block emergency vehicles. I received a letter last month from a woman named Jennifer. Dear Mr. Torres, she wrote. I want to thank you and your family. Last week, my husband had a massive heart attack. Our HOA president tried to stop the ambulance at our gate, demanding authorization. But the paramedics showed her Emma's law. They told her she would go to prison if she did not move immediately. She moved. My husband is alive today because of your daughter. Because of Emma. Please know that her life mattered. She saved my husband. I keep that letter in my wallet. I have received 43 similar letters. 43 families whose loved ones survived because of Emma. That is 43 reasons why our daughter's death was not meaningless. Sarah started a foundation called Emma's Voice. It helps families who have been abused by HOA boards. It provides legal assistance, connects people with lawyers, and advocates for HOA reform across the country. If I can stop even one family from experiencing what we went through, Sarah says, then all this pain will have purpose. The foundation has helped over 300 families so far. 300 families who found justice because Sarah turned her grief into action. I am proud of her. So incredibly proud. As for Margaret Chin, she is exactly where she belongs. I have not visited her in prison. I have no desire to see her face ever again. But I heard from Detective Wright that she still maintains she did nothing wrong. She still believes she was just enforcing rules. Some people never learn. Some people never feel remorse. But that is okay. Because she is paying for what she did. Every single day for the next 27 years, she will wake up in a prison cell and remember that her cruelty cost a baby her life. Riverside Estates is completely different now. The new HOA board focuses on building community rather than enforcing petty rules. They organize neighborhood barbecues, help elderly residents with yard work, and actually care about the people who live there. The gate is never locked anymore. Emergency vehicles have automatic access 24 hours a day. There is a plaque at the gate now. It reads, Emma's Gate. In memory of Emma Torres, who died here because of bureaucratic cruelty. May her death ensure that no other family suffers the same tragedy. Emma's Law, emergency vehicles shall never be delayed for any reason. Every time I drive through that gate, I see Emma's name. Every time, I cry a little. But I also smile. Because she is remembered. Because she mattered. My relationship with Sarah is stronger than ever. Grief either destroys a marriage or makes it unbreakable. Ours became unbreakable. We went through the darkest time any parents can experience. We held each other through the nightmares, the anger, the depression, the guilt. We went to therapy together. We learned how to carry our grief without letting it crush us. Emma brought us closer, Sarah said one night. Even in death, she gave us something. She showed us how strong our love really is. She is right. Our love survived the worst thing that could happen. That means it can survive anything. I still work as a firefighter. Every time I respond to an emergency, I think about those 5 minutes at the gate. I think about what those 5 minutes cost us. And I make absolutely sure that nothing ever delays me from saving someone's life. Not traffic. Not gates. Not rules. Nothing. Because I know what delay means. I know what it costs. Last month, I responded to a call at a gated community. A child was drowning in a pool. The HOA president tried to stop our fire truck at the gate. "Do you know about Emma's law?" I asked him calmly. His face went pale. "Yes, I do." "Then you know that if you delay us for even 1 second, you will go to prison. Now move." He moved immediately. We saved that child. She is alive today because of Emma's law. Because of our daughter. I called Sarah that night and told her about it. "Emma saved another one," I said. Sarah cried on the phone. "Our baby is still saving lives." Yes, she is. And she always will be. People sometimes ask me if I have forgiven Margaret Chen. The answer is no. I have not forgiven her. I do not think I ever will. Forgiveness is for people who show remorse. For people who acknowledge their mistakes and try to make amends. Margaret has done none of that. She still thinks she was right. She still thinks enforcing HOA rules was more important than a baby's life. How do you forgive someone who shows no remorse for killing your child? But I have found peace. That is different from forgiveness. I have found peace in knowing that justice was served. That Margaret is paying for her crime. That Emma's death led to changes that have saved countless lives. I have found peace in my family. In Sarah's strength. In Maya's laughter. In the foundation we built. In the laws we changed. Margaret Chen took our daughter from us. But she did not take our ability to love, to hope, to fight for what is right. She did not win. We did. Emma's legacy is not death and grief. Emma's legacy is change and life and justice. That is what I tell myself every morning when I wake up. That is what gets me through the hard days. That is what keeps me going. Next month, we are testifying before Congress. There is a push to make Emma's law federal. To protect families across the entire country from HOA abuse. If that passes, Emma's impact will reach millions of people. Millions of families who will never experience what we experienced. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing?" Maya asked yesterday. She is learning to talk now, and every word from her mouth is a miracle. "We are fighting for your sister," Sarah told her gently. "We are making sure Emma is never forgotten." Maya does not understand yet. But one day she will. One day we will take her to Emma's grave and tell her the whole story. We will tell her how her big sister changed the world. How her big sister saved lives. How her big sister's courage and sacrifice made the world a better place. And Maya will be proud of the sister she never met. As I write this, I am sitting in Emma's nursery. We kept it exactly as it was. The crib we bought. The mobile with stars and moons. The rocking chair where Sarah planned to feed her. This room was supposed to be filled with laughter and midnight feedings and dirty diapers and all the beautiful chaos of a newborn baby. Instead, it is a memorial. A shrine to what should have been. But it is also a reminder. A reminder of why we fight. Why we advocate. Why we refuse to let Emma's death be meaningless. Every time I sit in this room, I make a promise to Emma. "I will make sure the world knows your name," I whisper. "I will make sure your death saved others. I will make sure Margaret Chen rots in prison for what she did to you. And I will make sure that you are never, ever forgotten." I keep those promises every single day. Margaret Chen thought she was powerful. She thought her position as HOA president made her untouchable. She thought she could play God with people's lives. She was wrong. She is powerless now. Sitting in a prison cell. Forgotten by everyone except as a cautionary tale. A warning about what happens when authority goes unchecked. When power corrupts completely. When someone values rules over human life. Meanwhile, Emma's name is known across the country. Emma's law is saving lives every day. Emma's Voice Foundation is helping hundreds of families. Our daughter's life, though impossibly short, has had more positive impact than Margaret Chen's entire existence. That is the real victory. That is the justice Emma deserved. Sarah just called me downstairs. Maya wants to read a book before bed. This is our routine now. Our new normal. A life built on the ashes of tragedy, but a life nonetheless. As I leave Emma's nursery, I touch the crib gently. "Good night, sweetheart," I whisper. "Your little sister is waiting for me. Watch over us, okay? We love you. We will always love you." I turn off the light and close the door softly. Tomorrow, we will visit Emma's grave. We will bring fresh flowers. Maya will help us plant them. And life will go on. Because that is what Emma would want. That is what any child would want for their parents. Not endless grief. Not permanent brokenness. But healing. Growth. Love. Purpose. We gave Emma life for 9 months. She gave us purpose for the rest of ours. That seems like a fair trade. No, actually. It is not fair at all. It will never be fair. Emma should be here. She should be 3 years old, running around the house, laughing, playing with her little sister. But life is not fair. We learn that the hardest way possible. All we can do is make meaning from the unfairness. Make purpose from the pain. Make change from the tragedy. And that is exactly what we have done. Margaret Chen is in prison. Emma's law is saving lives. Our family is healing. Emma Torres mattered. Her life, however brief, changed everything. And that is justice.